So as I look through some stories to talk about here on the show, many times I'll look at those Ask the Financial Advisor in Market Watch. And I found a guy, pretty interesting gentleman here. He's in his 70s. He's retired. And he says, my goal is to become a millionaire before leaving this world. I'm in my 70s. I have $768,000, but I want $1 million. How do I achieve that? my first, why would you want that amount of money? What would you say to that person?
So it's kind of funny you bring this question up, right? Because this is not unique to this gentleman, right? I hear something similar to this quite a bit. It's like, hey, my goal was to get to $1 million in my 401k, or 2 million, or whatever it might be, right? I want to be a millionaire, right? Well, I mean, I hate to break it to everybody, but being a millionaire isn't what it used to be, right? And so, you go back 40 years, you go back to the 80s, like you're a millionaire. Whoa, you're a millionaire. That it doesn't buy what it used to, right? Is kind of the case that I'm making there. So I don't know if that should be such a big box that you want to check anyway. With this guy, I don't know his situation, obviously, but he might find he's already a millionaire. If he has a house that's got $300,000 in equity, guess what? He's a millionaire, right? Could that scratch that itch to be like, all right, that's enough for me. I'll hang it up and I'll retire. Maybe not, right? Maybe he wants to see that million. This is what he's going to have to decide. This is really what it is, right? You said he's 70?
In his 70s, yes.
In his 70s, all right. He's going to have to keep working, right? He's going to have to keep working. He's going to have to keep saving. It's unlikely if he retires and he has to draw on this 401k, it might still grow, but I mean, it's going to be difficult to grow that another, whatever we need, another 30% or so, another 40% or so to get to that million.
A lot of risk there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe he'll live just on Social Security. That's usually not enough for most people, right? They're usually going to tap their assets like this. Maybe he would, and he could just keep growing it, and eventually it will get to $1 million. Maybe. The conversation I would have with him is, tell me why. Talk me through this, right? What is it about this getting to $1 million for you that is so important? And usually the way that, like I said, this is not unusual. It comes up a lot. Usually the way that conversation goes is like, I kind of just thought that's what I needed, right? And I was like, well, maybe. Let's do the work. Let's see what you're trying to achieve income-wise in retirement, do our planning. And if you need the $1 million, all right, like, it is what it is. If you don't, is checking that box worth working another 5 years and not getting to enjoy all the sacrifices you've already made to build up this nest egg?
I saw a quote this week of somebody who was warning that he believed that the market was going to go down. And the last sentence that he said in the article was, it's not worth getting the extra 5% on the upside when you have 100% on the downside. And I thought that was pretty good advice. Why are you stretching yourself to get to a number when you really don't need that number?
Right.
And then the other thing I think of is I'm looking through articles all the time, and every time the market goes way up like it is, I see these, we've got more 401k millionaires than we've ever had before. Right. Well, I've got news for you. If you hit the 7-figure mark, you may actually not be at the 7-figure mark because you owe Uncle Sam about 25 or 30% of that. Chop that off, and now look where you are. So
good point.
You could be banging your head for a number that you don't really need. And I think when people come in and you do the math on their retirement, I think that's got to be a pretty good meeting to know, I really can retire on this amount. I thought I needed $1.3 million like they tell me in the media.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That conversation is almost a daily conversation we're having with somebody who comes into the office. And I get it. Kind of, $1 million, it's a nice round number, right? You can call yourself a millionaire as well. How much is that box worth to you to check, right? Yeah. Is it, all right, maybe it is. And it's worth you working an extra 5 years so that you can say that you achieved that. This is the thing. You hit the $1 million. Guess what? After your first distribution from that, you're not at $1 million anymore.
There you go. Yeah.
You're under it right away, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you had $1 million and you wanted to go to 1.3, does 1.3 really change your whole life? Maybe a little bit, an extra vacation or something like that. But if you lost $300,000 and it was down to 700, does that mean it changes your life? Jay, I think it does. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And this is the final thing that usually makes people kind of come to that realization that like that number's not that important, is this. Most people, not everybody, most people at the end of their retirement, they pass away, all right? They pass away with assets still, right? They still have some money in their IRA or whatever it might be. And that goes to their beneficiaries. Now, some people, it's an important thing to have an estate and leave it to children or grandchildren or whatever it is. Not most people, right? Most people, the idea is, if there's something there, that's great, but it's not a priority and I don't want to plan my retirement around it, right? So if we can make everything work with the numbers that you have, and you don't, in this case, you don't need to keep pushing to that million mark, you staying working, you reaching that million, that 1,300,000, that 1,500,000, whatever it might be, it's more money at the end of your life that gets left to somebody else, right? Is that nice? Yeah, I mean, great, that's nice. Was it worth you working another 5 years just to achieve that? I don't know.
Yeah.
For most people, I think the answer is no.
I talk to a lot of people in your field, and I hear these stories all the time. And somebody comes back from a vacation, and they say, "Well, did you fly first class?" They say, "Oh, no, I didn't want to spend that money." And then they say, "Well, your kids are going to, because you're going to leave them a lot of money, and they're going to fly first class. So why not figure out how to make your best retirement?" And if that's the big question for you, is how much do I need to retire and do the stuff I want to do? Jay will do that analysis for you. We'll do that at no charge. Give us a look on our website, which is retire210.com. Retire210.com. We'll sit down and talk through your retirement.